Voice of Indonesia.
Voice of Indonesia from Indonesia to the world. Welcome back to me, Ahmad Faisal, at the program of Special Interview. Right, Indonesia and Kenya have a very strong relations. Both countries keep on increasing the bilateral cooperations. And to know more about this and also its potential cooperation, here with us there is Honorable Mr. Duncan Otieno, Group Chief Operations Officer, Rising Petroleum of Kenya. How are you today, Mr. Duncan?
Selamat pagi, Faisal. Thank you very much for honoring me to be in this particular platform of Radio Republic Indonesia.
Nice to meet you at the studio of Voice of Indonesia.
Terima kasih.
Well, actually, Kenya and also Indonesia have very strong relations. First of all, how do you see about this?
Yes, Kenya and Indonesia has built a very strong relationship in the past, and this was cemented recently by the visit of His Excellency Widodo that visited Kenya in August last year. And this particular relationship was cemented by several memorandum of understanding being signed that will be able to cement, first of all, the bilateral relationship, as well as to build the economic requirements of both of the nations and ensure that the private sector can easily be able to invest both in Indonesia as well as the Indonesians investing in Kenya. Yes.
So what is the progress after the visit of my president, Joko Widodo?
Yes, one of the evidence of the progress is me being here to sign some of the agreements that we are already now signing in this particular great nation of Indonesia. And one of them is basically in the petroleum sector, and also basically in the agriculture sector, because Kenya generally, we depend a lot in Indonesia and other Far East countries in the edible oils that is coming out of this particular region. That is part of the balance that we have, because there are those products that you'll be able to get from Kenya, and also we get a lot also that is coming in from Indonesia back to Kenya. And also there's negotiations and discussions and feasibility studies going on to ensure that some of these MOUs that were signed, especially those relating to energy sector, they can now begin to be implemented. So there are already some progress between the governments that are already in talks to advance this particular MOU, especially in the energy sector.
Okay, especially in energy sector.
Yes, especially in the energy sector. And one of them is us here, Rising Petroleum, as the Chief Group Operations Officer. We are in a position now to ensure that the petroleum products, the hydrocarbons, can now be able to move from Indonesia into Africa through our gateway into Southern Africa, which is actually more of the infrastructure that we are using to ensure that these particular hydrocarbons move into the continent of Africa. That's now where Kenya will also be able to benefit.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Duncan, what is the potential of cooperation in energy sectors? I mean, in this case of the both countries, especially with Pertamina, Indonesia's petroleum company.
Basically, it is well known that this country has a lot, or is endowed with a lot of petroleum minerals, and also Pertamina is quite advanced in their refining of hydrocarbons, the petroleum products, and they also have high advanced technologies of petroleum products that they refine. And this particular partnership that we have with Pertamina is actually going to increase security of supply of petroleum fuel products into the Republic of Kenya and other African countries, because Kenya is more of a gateway to the East African countries. That is the hub, basically serving the landlocked countries like Uganda, South Sudan, as well as Burundi, Rwanda. So basically, when we have constant supply of fuel, it will be able to benefit Kenya and other regions. Basically, you need to understand that Africa, as much as they have the resources, they have not deeply advanced into exploring those particular resources in the energy sector. And with the partnership with Pertamina, as we have it both from the government level as well as from our level that we have signed with Rising Petroleum and Pertamina, is actually going to deepen the energy security into the whole region. Because I believe if Pertamina comes in to Kenya, they will be able now to venture into the region, because all the region, they are basically looking into getting the energy security. And that's where Pertamina, the relationship that Kenya has started, is actually going to go into the greater region.
So this year the progress is better than last year.
Yes, the progress is there, and as I opened up by my opening remarks, for us to be here and sign the MOU that you have signed with Pertamina, it means there is progress, because when the heads of states open for us the room, it is not basically the government that is doing the business. The government's work is basically just to open up the infrastructure and the relations to allow the private sector to be able to do business with ease. Yes.
Okay. So during the visit, investment cooperation in the energy sector was strengthened, and including Pertamina Geothermal Energy with the Geothermal Development Company worth $1.5 billion, and Pertamina Geothermal Energy also with Africa Geothermal International Limited worth $700 million. So the question is, what can you say about this investment cooperation in energy sector?
Basically, the signing of this particular investment agreement brings a lot of potential to Kenya, mainly in terms of foreign direct investments, which, in my view, is basically going to give us the assurance of sufficient energy. And if you look at it, and having interacted with Pertamina and also studying more about them, they are very deep in exploration of energy products, and their exploration skills and technology will easily be transferred to Africa. And at the same time, there will be job creation, because that amount of 1.5 billion and 700 million combined is a huge and colossal amount of money that I believe will be able to actually bring about economic development into the region. And this also helps for a long-term cooperation, because any country or any investor that invests that kind of money, it means they are looking into the long term. So this is just a key to show us, as the private investors, that there is an open gateway for us to be able to have long-term relationships. So the partnership is not short-term, it is long-term. And basically, we are looking into this, that with their expertise and based on several geothermal reserves that we have, with the technology that Pertamina has, we'll be able to quickly go through the process of exploration and mining of this particular geothermal to ensure there is sufficiency and reliability of energy. Because generally in our country, Kenya, the energy power is very expensive. And for you to be an emerging country, which Kenya is looking into, it really requires you to be able to ensure that the cost of power, the cost of doing manufacturing is actually low. And once you put it at that particular level, it also be able to reduce the cost of living, which we believe that if that is done, it will be able to ensure that Kenya can grow up as an industrial country, just as Indonesia is, if we can be able to reduce the cost of power. And that's what we are looking into, this particular partnership between Pertamina and the geothermal company in Kenya.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Duncan, this year, 2023,
Yes.
Indonesia is as the chairmanship of ASEAN, including Malaysia, Brunei Darussalam, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, and many more, for 10 countries of ASEAN. How do you see about the potential cooperation, not only with Indonesia, also with ASEAN countries?
Basically, I would say that Indonesia is a powerhouse in this region. And having that number of almost close to 300 million, yeah, I would say so, is a big number and is a powerhouse. And standing in that particular cooperation within the region and being able to offer their expertise, there is room for each of these particular countries that are around Indonesia to be able to grow exponentially economically. And I believe that when there is open cooperation and there is peace, because generally we rarely hear where there are countries fighting within this particular region, and the peace within Indonesia and even the warm welcome that we found in this region when we came into Indonesia actually shows that Indonesia is about peace. And where there is peace, you are rest assured that there will be economic growth. So for me, what I see ahead, and among the corporations within this particular region, there will be growth. And this particular growth, when it is harnessed, where the Africa and Asia, the Far East Asia, can be able to have a cooperation and be able to do business together, there will be balance of trade. Because we have equally a lot within the Africa region, and this particular block, if we can be able to partner together as African continent and this particular Far East block, we should be able now to develop both of our continents or both of our regions here.
So during the cooperation, what are the challenges for in increasing about bilateral cooperation between Indonesia and Kenya?
Basically, I think the challenges we had, there had been no consistent promotion of the relationship, because Kenya embassy just opened up, I think, is it this year, basically in Indonesia. And that now shows you that these two countries had not really built this particular relationship. But now that the Kenyan embassy now is here, and we also have the Indonesian embassy in Kenya, then now it means there's a strong relationship that is going to be there. So the first challenge was delay in cementing the relationship and promoting what each of the countries has, which I think this has already started. So it is a challenge that has found a solution at this particular time. The other challenge, basically, we had not gotten quite a lot about what Indonesia has that can be taken to Kenya and what Kenya has that can come to Indonesia. So with that door opening, a solution has been found for us to ensure that now we can have the equal balance of trade between the countries. And the other challenge that probably might be able to see is language barrier. That we hope that this language barrier will be able to at least help us to do communication well. So basically, I believe a solution for this is probably we start having languages being taught, Swahili being taught in Indonesia, and Bahasa being taught in Kenya. Because right now you find we have some colleges or some of the international education facilities that are offering Chinese. Why not have Bahasa in Kenya? And we also have Swahili in Indonesia. When you have harmony in language barrier, then you find that doing business becomes very easy. Because with some of these particular areas, like we are learning French in Kenya. We are not a French nation. So why not bring Bahasa in Kenya? And we also bring, and it can start from Radio Republic Indonesia, promoting language, because it is about communication.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is not just about having media; is about communication. So you can find Radio Republic Indonesia. We welcome you to Kenya to start educating us or teaching Bahasa. That is when now you'll find when you put Radio Republic in Kenya, then Bahasa will be there. You can now be able to broadcast in Bahasa.
Wow, nice to hear that.
Yes. So that is a business opportunity which I've given you for free, consultancy, for giving me a chance to also be here to speak to the Indonesians. That is free consultancy. Yeah?
That's kind of building better communication, right?
Yes, yes.
By knowing language.
Yes. It is what will be able to promote the business between the two countries, because if the language people can be able to speak, I can come here and speak Bahasa fluently, it will be very easy for me to do business, because I realized as we came into this country, we were actually invited by Madame Ratu Emma, and she has to take us in certain places where she's our translator in certain places, which we really thank her for that, for helping us. Also to come here and also to interact with the locals and see what opportunities are there beyond just what we came for. Yes. So basically, just in summary, those are the challenges that we look at, but they all have solutions. There's no challenge that Allah will give you without having a solution. You just have to be innovative and a solution will come out.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Okay, Mr. Duncan, the last question.
Yes.
So, what is your expectation for the increasing bilateral cooperation between Indonesia and Kenya?
Basically, we believe that there are more that we'll be able to get in this particular nation or between the two nations. And us coming in here is just the key. Petamina is just the key that has opened for us doors to ensure that we can start business here and also invite others to come. And as I said at the beginning in my opening remarks, that we import a lot of palm crude oil from Indonesia. And my expectation would be to basically, we can look into investing into that particular industry within this place. First of all, to learn and have experience. And once we have experience, I believe part of the cooperation would be to export that particular experience, technology that you are quite advanced in the palm crude oil, and export that to Kenya. And basically, when you are talking about Kenya, my vision and as a leader in the African continent is basically to look at it not only for Kenya. How can it be able to help the general populace of the African continent that allows us to be able to share our resources equally. So I believe that us coming into this particular place, we are going to invest into the crude palm oil industry here first, as a learning, just as I said about the language learning. So we'll first of all learn here your palm production and export the same to Africa, Kenya being the gateway. So that is one of the areas that we'll be looking into, and also look into other sectors, especially when it comes to mining, because we have a lot of resources, but we don't have a lot of technologies and the expertise that is required for us to be able to explore the resources that God gave us. So part of it also will be able to use those particular technologies, the experience, to export, to mine the resources. And many more were in Kenya. You don't have a lot of tea because I've not gotten a variety of tea in Indonesia. So I think next time when I'm coming, I'll carry a variety of tea that comes from Kenya, because we are very good in tea. And I believe that is one area that will also be able to at least ensure that we have more of imports coming into this country, especially in the area that we have the expertise. I believe that is basically what I'm looking into in the short term, and more to come basically as we start building our foundation in this particular nation.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Duncan, for your time and attention to have special review today.
Terima kasih, Faisal, for inviting me at Radio Republic Indonesia to share our interest and what we expect to benefit from the two nations, that is Indonesia and Kenya.
Okay. All right, listener, that was our special review with Honorable Mr. Duncan Otieno as Group Chief Operations Officer, Rising Petroleum, Kenya. I'm Faisal, would like to say thank you very much and have a nice day.
Voice of Indonesia.